Hey, what's up? How you doing, fellow Switch bargain hunters? I hope you're having a great week. I'm James Amero, this is SwitchWatch, and this is our weekly bargain series where we scour the eShop. It's a great place to find loads of good deals, but they can be hard to find, and we do that legwork for you across the UK, US, and EU eShops. We've got 10 tempting games for you this week, and if you do want to pick something up on the eShop, then don't forget to head over to switchwatch.net and use our code SwitchWatch5 to get 5% off of an eShop voucher, and you can pick one up for most regions. Let's jump into it and take a look at this week's deals. Kicking things off this week with a game with the weirdest title. Yes, it's Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. That just rolls off the tongue. But regardless of the title, this is one of the best top-down classic Zelda-inspired action RPGs in recent memory. It's a gorgeous game with a brilliant story and witty dialogue. As the title suggests, Turnip Boy hasn't paid his taxes and owes a colossal debt to Mayor Onion and sets off in order to start paying it back. It's not the most difficult game, nor is it stressful. It's enjoyable from start to finish, filled with lovely sights and fun gameplay that is yet engaging, as well as having that great dialogue. There really is a lot to like here, and it's got 60% off in the UK and EU at the moment, and a whopping 67% off in the US as well. If you've not heard of this one, I do recommend picking it up. And changing gears, it's not often that a rhythm-based game comes up with something new, but that is exactly what Crypt of the NecroDancer did a while back to fantastic effect. It turns out that combining beats and dungeon crawling results in a brilliant and exciting game. The tunes are spot on and the gameplay really is no slouch either. The developers followed this up with Cadence of Hyrule, essentially the same gameplay with characters from Zelda, and although that is a blast to play as well, having the original for just £3.59 or $3.99 in the US and EU makes this a real bargain at the moment. RIVE is a platforming shoot-'em-up in the twin-stick 2D style. I'm a massive fan of this type of arcade, pick-up-and-play game, and this is one of the best. Be warned though, it is on the hardcore side of things. It will often have you nearly throwing a switch across the room, but with a whopping 90% off, you can't beat this ridiculous price. The highlight for me are the big bad bosses. This one's just all action and stuff going on the screen at all times. Definitely one to consider. Next up this week, it's Unbound Worlds Apart. This is a challenging, atmospheric and hand-drawn puzzle platformer set in a universe where all the worlds are connected by portals. You control Solly, a gifted young mage who has the power to open these portals and control the unique properties of each world. This does make for some really great mechanics and gameplay as well. Now, these different worlds have unique properties such as inverse gravity, time manipulation, super strength, and a whole lot more. There's a big world with branching, unlockable areas to discover, and it's all very beautiful. This is a well-balanced and an accomplished game that is superb throughout and is only dampened by some poor frame rate issues in places. But nevertheless, if you enjoy a good platforming game and you like your puzzles, then I'll take a look at this one. We've had some quirky titles, and now we've got probably the opposite end of that spectrum. Yes, it's Knights and Guns. This one is straight out of an arcade machine. It sets that tone from the off with its solid soundtrack, cartoony graphics and cheesy narrative. It's a real popcorn game, this one, with loads going on the screen at all times. Whilst it seems like it's going to be some sort of RPG or platformer, it's more akin to Galaga and Pang, where you have waves of enemies coming at you and you need to shoot them. You can only shoot upwards, so you need to time things just right in order to succeed. There are a load of levels, survival mode and co-op to keep you interested as well. And with 93% off, it's a great price. I mean, it's 89p in the UK right now. The King's Bird is a platformer with a focus on precision, accuracy, and pace. All of these things are needed in order to succeed in this one. There are some nice mechanics. You have the ability to glide and wall jump, and we need to time them just right in order to succeed. The visuals are really nice, and the soundtrack is decent as well. It's a crowded genre at the original price. It's really tough to recommend it over other titles, but with 80% off, it's definitely worth dipping into if you fancy a tricky platformer with something a little bit different to it. Record of Lodoss War-Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth is a 2D action exploration game developed under the close supervision of the Record of Lodoss War series original creator, Ryo Mizuno. Most of you will not have heard of this series, but it's been around since the 80s, starting out as fantasy novels and spawning every type of media you can imagine, including a manga and anime series, as well as, of course, video games. To cut a long story short, this is a solid game that plays very similarly to Symphony of the Night, and as Konami still haven't brought that to the Switch, this is a good alternative. The story is a bit pointless and the game is on the short side, but apart from that, it's a really solid game to scratch that itch. Jordan reviewed this one and gave it a very healthy 8 out of 10, so check out that. There's a link on our screen right now to that review. As always with the Nintendo Switch, there are often different deals in different locations, and sometimes those games are not on sale across multiple regions, and that's the example what we've got right now with the next couple of games. So if you do want to purchase one of these and you live outside of the US, please remember that you can do so as the Switch is region free. Now here at SwitchWatch, we love a good old turn-based RPG, and nothing gets us going like a turn-based RPG set in, yes, the Monster Hunter universe. Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin is right up our street. It's a great game. Here, you become a rider and form bonds with monsters. You meet Enna, who is entrusted with looking after an egg which has the potential to hatch a legendary Rathalos that could cause absolute havoc. This adventure will not let go of you until the credits roll, and it now has a respectable 67% off in the US. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a superb brawler. It's quirky and over the top, with a pumping soundtrack and wacky visuals, as well as a bonkers story that probably doesn't really matter, to be honest. What matters is the gameplay. Yes, it is solid, it's difficult enough without being too crazy, and where a lot of brawlers end up being button bashers, there is a decent amount of strategy at play here, with some RPG elements thrown in as well. It doesn't outstay its welcome though, and with 67% off you will enjoy this if you like a good old fashioned brawler. And last this week, but certainly not least, Dragon's Dogma surprised everyone when it came out as one of the top modern RPGs from Capcom no less, a developer we don't typically associate with RPGs. There are some similarities with their Monster Hunter series, of course. It features gigantic enemies, including, you guessed it, dragons and a huge open world. But there are deep systems here, such as crafting and a large world full of characters to interact with. Its pawn system and excellent action-oriented combat set it apart. This is definitely not one to miss, and it has 67% off in the US right now. And that's it this week from us. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I think there's quite a lot of different types of games this week, which is quite cool. Let us know what you think down below. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And in particular to our producers as well. Thank you guys. It really does mean the world to us. Anyway, enough from me. Have a fantastic week. And we'll be back again tomorrow with Jordan's physical roundup. Take care, everyone. See you soon.